or should I say, us. Hey, Rexy. I am here with another edition of Mark's Just Watching. This time with my review of a movie featuring Rexy, the last in a chapter, the last in a saga, really, of the Jurassic Park series entitled Jurassic World Dominion. This is my spoiler review, my thoughts, my rants. I'm not a dinosaur expert. I don't remember everybody's names except for like some of my favorites. So please don't beat me up. But I just wanted to share my review and thoughts of what did I think of this newest movie and about how I feel going forward. So, and my little friend Rexy is going to guest star. I don't know if he'll have anything to say, but so my overall thoughts is I didn't love the movie, but I really enjoyed it. I know that it's being bashed in the reviews and they're calling it the worst. And while I understand that, I remember, like I've said, from back in the day, people wanted to deviate from the formula and get them off the island, and people are just trapped on the island, and that's got to change. So that's what Jurassic World essentially set up over the course of this trilogy, to get them off the island and into a Jurassic World. With that said, though, I did not... I'll say that I did not think it was going to go in the direction that it did. I thought we were going to get more of the dinosaurs in the world, even like the cities. Now, the beginning of the movie, before the flash of the logo, did set up that dinosaurs don't really like the city environments and blah, blah, blah. And that was kind of like a quick throwaway. But I kind of wanted that. I wanted to see, just like in the end of Lost World with T-Rex is strolling through a neighborhood, I wanted to see more dinosaurs of that, which they showed that in Dominion when Rexy showed up. Hey! And terrorized the movie theater drive-in, or you had that Battle of Big Rock. That was the kind of stuff I thought we were going to see. And the way the trailers made it seem was like that's what the cast was going to do, is try to round up or save the dinosaurs or something like that. And while I don't mind the action, it did turn into Mission Impossible meets the Jurassic Park saga meets Bourne Identity meets, it was a weird meets Signs, with the... I didn't understand the locusts, the bugs. In fact, when I first showed up on the screen as not a bug fan, I was ready to leave. I understand that they've been hinting what would happen if the technology got into the wrong hands, and this was basically saying, altering different items. But I still thought they were going to stay in the realm of dinosaurs, not move it on to where the big threat of the movie was not the dinosaurs, but the bugs. However, it was that storyline that was able to bring back the original trilogy characters that basically had me throughout the entire movie and I would want to see again. As a franchise that's almost 30 years old, to get back the Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm together in the same movie for the first time since '93 was awesome. The throwbacks, the way they were around each other, Alan's continued jealousy, Ian with how he is with his quips, and the unbuttoned shirt when he got towards the end and was around the pilot. I forget her name. But I couldn't get enough of them. And of course, the heart of the movie, in my opinion, was Maisie and to an extent Beta. And of course, Claire. And she really changed from the first Jurassic World through this one. Claire did. But in a good way. I actually enjoyed the original three and Claire. Owen this time, he was just kind of there. I wasn't as invested in him this time around. I mean, I was glad that he and Claire were together and that everyone ended up as a happy family, but my main investment was everybody but him this time. Did anybody else feel that way? Um, you know, I knew from the original trailer whenever they were saying they have to do whatever they can to protect her, they were talking about Maisie, even though they kept that pretty protected and made it seem like they were talking about Blue and Beta. But, if you didn't watch, I didn't read the books. Not a book person. I'm more of a, hey, there's a movie, let me watch it, or there's a Wikipedia page, I'll read that. But so if you didn't remember the first movie, when Wayne Knight's character met with Dodson on the island before all the events started, granted he was playing by a different character, you wouldn't have known who Dodson was in this movie. They didn't really go into any explanation about him or Biogen, whatever that company's name was. It was just kind of there. There was no hint at it in the I was kind of, maybe, even though they did introduce it, they're the new thing, but establish a connection or kind of a throwback to the past or something to kind of build on the original connection, especially since you recast the actor due to his legal problems, and then I'm drawing a blank, but the actor that you did cast was a more welcome and known actor. Hi. It's not Rexy. It's Layla. No, leave Layla alone. Rexy. So, sorry. I wanted more, not just that. So another rant that I have is they brought back Franklin and Zaya, however you say her name, from the last movies. And I understand that they were supposed to bring back Jake Johnson from the first Jurassic World. And he was supposed to be in what the role was played by Franklin. Because Franklin was a totally different character from the last movie. And I don't care if it's been 4 years. There's no way he went from nerdy, geeky, here's some mosquito repellent, to the big macho guy working for the CIA. And, at least he lasted a little bit longer. She was out after the first scene. I thought for sure she would have been back in a bigger role. Now, granted, I know you have the main three with the new two, and then you're introducing the pilot, and then Ian's friend that's working for Biogen. I'm going to say Biogen and hope that I'm right. Regardless, I understand you have all these new characters, but I really liked her and I would have liked to see more of her. A part of me was kind of thinking that the pilot was going to end up being Malcolm's daughter from Lost World. Maybe she changed her name or something, but that was just a fan service in me. But I really liked the pilot. If they carried on the trilogy, I hope she would come back. I could see that. I really enjoyed her. But as I was talking about before, actually I'll just go into it. My favorites that I loved, which of course were the main three, being back. And the fact that they did get the same amount, really, of screen time, at least it seemed to me. Now, granted, I know Alan was out of his element, but it made sense that he wanted to be with Ellie, so of course he's going to be out of his element. He wanted to help Ellie, who he still secretly pined for. And boy, if I wasn't happy that they ended up together at the end. Now, I know there's been interviews where they said that they didn't think, when they were hinting at it 30 years ago, that there's a 20-year age gap between the actors. So what? Age is just a number. However, I do feel that them getting together fit better in this one than it did the last one. They're establishing their lives. They've done what they wanted to do, and now they can be together and be happy. She's got her kids. He's done his thing. Let them be happy, and I was glad that they ended up together. Ian joking that he's got 5 kids now, but he's still doing his thing. And end of the world conspiracies. That was pretty. That was perfect for Ian. And then the other thing I loved was that at least they didn't screw around with Claire and Owen this time. That they were a family. And I understand. Sorry. I understand Maisie's going through some stuff, but the way she was treating Claire, I thought was not really good. Hushie! I would have liked to see, even though they respected each other at the end, I would have liked to see more of that. And I don't know why she had the attitude with Claire. I understand she's been in isolation for 4 years. And Layla Maxie! I'm sorry, I'm distracted. Please enjoy my dog's barking. Hold, please. Sorry about that. I'm back. But yeah, I was surprised she had the attitude that she did, even though I understand she's a teenage girl. She's confused about where she's been, who she is, the fact that she's was supposed to be a clone of her mom, which basically she was, but it was nice to see that she was actually her daughter. But this genetic miracle, I was glad that they gave resolution to that story, but it still kind of felt out of nowhere since they went one direction in the last movie and then they went that direction in this movie. But that she got to share screen time with Alan and Ellie. And then of course, the other thing that I loved is the last third of the movie when everybody gets together, when all hell's breaking loose. But that was still the treat for me. I was surprised if you watch the trailers whenever the Gigantosaurus shows up and Ian's, they always have to make him bigger. That line was nowhere to be found. I don't know why they would have cut that line. I mean, granted, they didn't make them. It was a true dinosaur, but it still fit. And it was still heavily featured in the promotional materials. Other things I loved was, of course, the score of the movie. Especially at the beginning when Maisie drifts off and meets up with those construction workers and that theme that played over that scene. I've loved the scores of all of these movies, really. With, of course, the best being the Jurassic Park. Welcome to the Jurassic Park theme. But yeah. Now, things that I was like, I didn't like was the locusts, of course. And how this movie, which I thought was going to be more featured on the dinosaurs, was more featured about the genetic engineering and how it impacted the bugs and it was impacting the economy. And the dinosaurs kind of just showed up and took a back seat. And while I was curious and glad, and I could figure out they were taking them all as many as they could find to where Dotson was and keeping them there and supposedly protected. I wasn't a fan of I know Rexy. I wasn't a fan of how little time he had to shine. Because they introduced, it's okay, Rexy. They introduced so many dinosaurs in this one, which, again, they only supposedly captured X amount of species in the last Fallen Kingdom. But in this one, there was all kinds of dinos. And I don't think Wu was making them anymore, so it was very surprising to me. The direction of Fallen Kingdom leading into this one. Now, I will say the first half of Fallen Kingdom felt like it was the end of Jurassic World 1. The last half of Fallen Kingdom felt like it was the first part of this movie. Two totally distinct features, so to speak, which is fine. But I was not a fan of the focus on the stupid bugs, and I definitely was not a fan of the new quote unquote Joker dinosaur that was supposed to be the new big bad, the Gigantosaurus. Or I thought it was Gigantosaurus, to be honest. But that was supposed to give T-Rex some competition. Which, if they would have aired the prologue that was supposed to originally air, that they released with Fast 9 last year, that would have shown where they originally faced off in the continuity and Rexy died during their fight. And that's when a mosquito bit him, and years later they got the DNA, etc. They cut that out, or left it out, which I hope they still included as a bonus feature, because that's also where Rexy showed up at the drive-thru. But I wish they would have kept that, because at least it would have given... When the Gigantosaurus showed up on screen, I was not... This was probably the least intimidated I was by any of the dinosaurs. And that goes back to the stupid Spinosaurus in 3, which I was never a fan of that one, especially since it killed a version of Rexy. But this dinosaur was overhyped. Like the fake dinosaurs, I'd probably put the Indoraptor, then Indorex, and then this one. And this, as far as the big bads in this trilogy, I just was not a fan. And when I thought he almost killed Rexy, boy, I almost lost it. But luckily Rexy's eye opened and he went to town. Rexy's happy. So yeah, that was but it still felt like the fight at the end of Jurassic World 1 felt more like an epic fight versus the epic fight in this one. It just, even though Rexy, I was glad to see Rex won, and again, they worked together, the Wolverine dinosaur, that's what I'm going to call that one. It was briefly just boom and it was gone. But it led to all the happy endings and whatnot, and I was glad that they left the dinosaurs alone and that there's a dinosaur island again to set up another hopeful franchise, because as someone who's been a huge franchise over the last 30 years of this, I am sad to see it go. The characters you fell in love with and grew up with. I mean, I was a freshman in high school when the first one came out. And I loved this, Lost World, and when Jurassic World came out and they relaunched it and tied it in with the originals. I mean, as a fanboy, I couldn't be more excited. And I really pray and hope that they can figure out a way to continue on this franchise. Because that's what I want. And plus, Universal, you got sections of the park that I love that are dedicated to it. So yeah. What else? It was cool to see the Barbasol can back. However, it's fallen into my section, because if you watch that first movie, that Barbasol can ended up in during a hurricane in the mud. How in the hell did they find that? Did they scour that island once everybody left, avoid all the free roaming dinosaurs to find this mystery can? I was curious about that. What else? I will say one thing I forgot that falls back in with the things that I loved. The only jump scare that I had in this movie that caught me off guard was when Alan and Ellie and Maisie were down in the tunnels and trying to find a way out. And Alan climbs up that ladder. And all looks clear, so he grabs a flashlight and looks ahead. And boy, if I didn't jump back, because that alligator dinosaur scared the shadoobie out of me. Dino-sized dinosaur. Doo-doos. Dino doo-doo. But yeah, that was the only jump scare. And, you know, of course, it turns around. There's like, what, 4 or 5 of them there. How the hell they made it out of there, I'll never know. But that was the only jump scare. And Alan, who is 75 years old, must be made like a champ because he survived all that without even a scratch. But yeah, that was the only jump scare. Now there were some tense moments, but not until they got in that jungle environment, the last third of the movie. The earlier parts all felt like Mission Impossible. Like the underwater scene when that dinosaur is hovering over Claire's head was suspenseful, or when the Dilophosauruses show up before Owen saves Claire. You know, a lot of that was suspenseful. I was curious how the woods would end up on fire, and of course it's the fiery locusts that end up getting out after he released them. Dotson, which added a cool element to the atmosphere. But, and what about the other character arc for Wu? You know, he started out as a mad scientist, so to speak, with Jurassic World. Now, granted, he was afraid in the last one of what happens if this gets in the wrong hands and the technology. And then in this one, but he just totally ended up as a broken down, seems sympathetic character, just wants to protect humanity. Where was all of that when you were creating these dinosaurs and the Indominus Rex? That was just a weird character turn for me. He just ended up playing, you know, after he saved the locusts and the world, and ended up playing in a field and just happy as can be. And I just thought that was a weird ending for him, for his character, given the circumstances that led to this movie. So yeah, overall, you know, I don't hate this movie. The first half of the movie, I will, you know, the main things that had me excited were watching the originals, or really it was just pretty much Alan and Ellie for a while, but just watching that and catching up with them and watching where their storyline was going. You know, once you got from the cabin in the woods storyline and took it over to where they're racing through the streets on motorcycles, and I felt like I was waiting for Tom Cruise to show up. That felt like an offbeat moment. But they still set up some new characters in this movie that I could see showing up in the future if they decide to go that way, with, of course, probably a bigger name star in a main role. But I definitely want that pilot back because I really liked her. Come on. Come on, you can do it. Come on. My dog's trying to jump up where I'm sitting. So yeah, that's all for now. Rexy's still out there. Everyone got their happy ending. Hey, Miss. How you doing? Hey, Miss. Y'all want to see Miss? Hey. Yep. And then there's Rexy. Want to see Rexy? She's scared of Rexy. There's Miss. So out of 5 Frosties, I would probably give this one, I don't love it, but it's not, Jurassic Park 3 is still probably my least favorite over this one. And I'm ranking this one the way it is because of how well the characters blended together and just really the last third of the movie. So I'm going to give this one 3.5 out of 5 Frosties. Would you agree? Yeah. What about you, Rexy? Would you agree? All right, cool. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you want me to do more reviews or see this one again, please send me some money, as I'm here for you, Zapipu. And I hope life treats you well. I hope that when you go to the movie theater, they give you plenty of butter on your popcorn, and that they're not cheap with the ice if that's how you get your soda. And until next time, stay frosty, and I'll talk to you soon.